student body, and I looked at the effect that different study environments like libraries or cafes have on students' productivity. In this case, we define productivity as the number of distractions per study session. The first methodology I used was a field study. In this field study, I observed 3 different locations, one of which was Suzzalo, one of which was Packer, and the other Cafe Solstice on the Ave. In the methodology for the field studies, each observation was a 30-minute deep hanging out session. After that, I would analyze the results and then use the results to propel user interviews in the next phase of research. In the observations, specific things I was looking for were the physical state of the environment. This is seating arrangement, ceiling height, natural light, interactions between people. This could be talking to each other. This could be looking at phone, just looking up, spacing out, getting distracted by other conversations, walking around, drinking water. The results of this field study, I found that Packer has a dense seating arrangement. There were a lot of distractions and a lot of natural light. In Suzzalo, there's sparse seating, minimal distractions, and some natural light, in addition to a very beautiful environment with impressive old architecture. And in Cafe Solstice, I found that it's a loud environment, semi-dense seating, lots of natural light. The key findings of the field study were limited to my observations. There's some things that I think I could have looked at better, one of which was people's interaction with food, if they're leaving to go eat or if they're eating while they were there. And then the main key finding from the field study was the seating proximity would be closely associated with talking distractions. In the future, for observations and field studies, it'd be important to be more cognizant of user interactions while observing. This would be things like food, and then possibly trying something other than a deep hangout session, maybe something where I end up talking to the subjects I am observing. Now, the next phase of the research was user interviews. And so with these interviews, I conducted 6, 2 interviews for each location, so 2 for Suzzalo, 2 for Packer, 2 for Cafe Solstice. After that, I analyzed the results and then used those analysis to propel the surveys. The criteria I used for the user interviews was A, they had to be a student, and B, they had to study at one of the previously researched locations, which is Suzzalo, Packer, or Cafe Solstice. The only problem with this was finding if someone was a student at Cafe Solstice, but there were only students at both Suzzalo and Packer. The results and analysis. Okay, so to analyze these results, I grouped the answers into responses about the physical environment and the mental environment. The physical environment would be what you're seeing, like the seating arrangement like we talked about, or ceiling height or natural light. The mental environment is people's mindset going into study, and then any ideas or connotations associated with a certain environment. The key finding from this was the connotation of a space. For instance, Suzzalo had a connotation of being professional or quiet or serious, whereas going to a coffee shop, there's a connotation of it being kind of loud or casual. Another key finding was that natural light really helps people focus, and then from that I was able to conclude the dense seating makes it very prone to talking distractions, and sparse seating helps productivity. Key findings and limitations. Obviously, I was only limited to 6 interviews to represent a large quantity of people, the entire student body of University of Washington. And the key finding of this was connotations and seating arrangement, how both of those directly affect productivity. In the future, conducting more interviews would obviously give a bigger sample size. to increase the accuracy of the results. And then changing the inclusion criteria to a larger demographic would also give a bigger sample size. Okay, surveys. From these user interviews, the responses, I drafted surveys. The methodology of the surveys, they were Catalyst web surveys advertised by email and through Facebook. And then taking the results from the respondents, I analyzed them. Criteria, pretty similar to interviews. One requirement is they got to be a student, which is easy because Catalyst requires UW Net ID. And then another inclusion criteria was once I got the results, when analyzing, I had to make sure that there were the same number of results for both Packer and Suzzalo, so I could do equal statistics on them. Results and analysis. Grouped answers by recurring themes. Then I conducted a comparative analysis and correlations between different types of data. Key findings and limitations. One limitation was that some questions made it hard to gather ratio type data to run comparative analysis. It would be ordinal type things like categorical stuff instead of hard numbers that could be divided or multiplied. And this was limited to only UW students. In the future, it would be good to ensure that each survey question will return a ratio value answer so that a comparative analysis will be possible for every question I want it to. And then also to scale the study, just send to a broader demographic rather than just UW students.